Okay, this tutorial is taking us through the final checklist for our FPP. At this point, you've finished your writing, you've practiced your photo analysis, and now it's time to perfect the layout and design that you've been working on by going through this area. So number one, we're going to check off that your layout adheres to the example of formatting I provided, that you include a picture of your photographer, that you have your writing, and then I'll go through each of these one by one. Okay, so to start, I am going to open up my folder, and just so you know, this handout is in the handouts called FPP Project Rubric 2016. And I'm going to go ahead and open up my document, and you will see that I have a page that looks very familiar. So the first thing I want to do is make sure that my text slides across the page. So I'm going to write photographer name, highlight the text, highlight the font size, and I'm going to use my arrow until that gets pretty close to that pink margin. At this time, I'm also going to choose a different font. So I'm going to go ahead to this area. I know that I want to use the marquee, and then I can really get it to be exact. Okay, at that point, I want to take a minute to double right click or double click the bottom right corner so that my frame jumps up and is even. That's going to keep everything organized for later. So I'm really going to push the name up towards that top pink margin to maximize my space. Zooming out using Command minus, and you can see I have a photographer name placed. The next thing I will do is place my placeholder text. So I'm going to actually go to another folder to find that. I have a document here that I will use, and I will let it load into my cursor, and I will go about a third of the way down the page, click and drag, and you'll see that I don't have that much text. So just for sake of the demo, I'm going to add some more. Okay. When I see that my column shows this little red plus, that means I need to pick up the text where I left off. So using that black arrow, I click on the plus mark and I match the column to the top of the other column, click and drag, release, and I have two columns of text. Now, one thing we're going to do on the checklist is we are going to justify that text. So select all once you've selected inside the text, and go up to these options here where you are going to justify the text bottom line left so that your text fills in the columns like this. If you press W, you will see that your blocks of text are very clean and organized. Okay, while we're there, let's go ahead and give that a drop cap. So we're going to take that first letter and we're going to go to this area up here on the menu where it asks us how many lines or how many letters wide we want our drop cap, and we want it to be one letter. And we want it to be 5 lines long. So we're going to go ahead and click 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you will notice that your first letter of your paragraph becomes big, and that is a way of drawing attention to your text. If nothing showed up, it's quite possible that you had an extra space right there. Okay, the next thing I want you to do is place your bio pic. So that's the picture of your photographer. And I want you to center that picture on the gutter of the first 2 columns. Okay, once you place your photo, you can hold down Shift and Command to make it your desired size. And then I want you to text wrap that photo. So you can do so by going up to Window, Text Wrap, at which point you will have your text wrap menu that allows you to select the second option, which says, if you let your mouse hover over it, it should pop up. And that will take your text around the edges of your photo. Now, if you don't like the spacing that you have, again, click on the picture, and you can use these values here and link them together. Link them together to see the spacing jump uniformly around the text. Okay, while we're there, we're going to learn how to put a stroke on the photo. And that means click on the photo, go up to the top here, select the stroke option, select black, and then select 0.25. Make it really nice and thin. Okay, that gives us a really clean look. Let's go ahead and press preview to see what it looks like. I'm going to zoom in where I can see that small white border. around my text. Okay, next thing I need to do is make sure that I press Escape and W to get out of the preview mode. I need to place a subhead or a teaser of some sort over the top of my text. It should be centered. Subhead should be centered over copy. Okay, so the subhead should be centered over your copy, and the size should be at least twice the size of your font, which your font should be only 9. Okay, make sure that you center that. And at this point, it's time to talk about your byline. Your byline should be lowercase by with your name, also in size 9. Okay, now the rest of your document here leaves you space to place your picture and the photos from your photographer. So by pressing Command D, I'm going to press a whole bunch of photos here. Take out that text. And I've loaded my cursor so I can press place one dominant image. I can place smaller images. I can let those bleed off the page. Okay, and what that means is that it's going to go over the margins and off the edge of the page. I'm going to try not to use any doubles, but for sake of example, just bear with me. And I'm going to place photos so that everything fits, kind of like a game of Tetris. When I press preview, I should have very uniform white space around my pictures, and each picture should have a stroke. Let's take a second to go ahead and look at the checklist to see what else we are missing. We have stretched our headline, we have a dominant photo, we have a 1 pixel stroke, our white space is consistent. We have yet to speak about captions. Your photos are a good sampling from your photographer, and your own photo is included in there, and it mimics the style. Overall, your layout should look attractive. If your layout does not look nice, then you need to figure out what it might need. So in this case, it doesn't look attractive because I have really silly examples. So let's go ahead and talk about a couple of other things that can make your layout really, really pop. So number one is that if you haven't taken your photo yet, you should consider what type of space you have left. Do you have horizontal space or vertical space to fill up your frame? Your photo is hopefully the biggest one of the lot because it should be the most interesting. Okay, the other portion here, and I'm going to use these as repeats, is to think about a caption. Captions are a great way to fill some of that extra space. If your layout looks something like this, and you have some white space here to fill and some white space here, well, consider doing 2 things. In work mode, consider making your photo box bigger and then using that shortcut to fill frame proportionally, which is Shift-Option-Command-C, so that you're filling up and making the most of your pictures. Now you can spend this area writing captions, and your captions might sound something like this. Clockwise from top left with a colon, and let's go ahead and zoom in there for you. You can include the photo names. Photo name, or I'm going to say photo title, by either you or the person's name. Go ahead and put a semicolon, give a caption for the next one. The MA counselors look up to the future. Okay, you can fill your captions as you see fit, if you have space. Now, many of you have been asking me, what do I do if I need another page? If you need another page, you go to Window, Pages, and you will see this panel pop up. At this point, you can click in this upper right-hand corner here and say Insert one page after page 1, and you will get a whole other page to work with. You may use that page to show off more photos, to continue your writing, and I urge you to follow the same format for that last page. So you might continue your text in one column. Okay, and I'm going to do so by clicking up here. loading my column, loading my cursor, I mean. Maybe I've written a lot. I have 2 columns. Let's see how many columns I have. Okay, so there I'm done. So now at this point I might choose to, instead of having 1 column with this tiny bit left, I might take this column and bring it down and try to play that matching game where these end up being equal. Okay, so you can really make some creative decisions here, and the goal is to have a balanced, design-friendly piece. The rest of the space can then be filled with photos as you see fit, and then you have quite a bit of freedom to include other photos. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put in some blue boxes here just as a sort of reminder that those could be more photos. And remember that if I want to duplicate something, I can click on it, press Alt, duplicate, duplicate, and make this one bigger, duplicate another one, and there you have a really nice looking layout. So again, remember that things can bleed off the edges as long as you are aware that they will do so. And I think the general rule is that photos can bleed, text cannot. And as long as it's done deliberately and not just by accident, you can usually make it look pretty cool.